Swing and drive. Belton right. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon and welcome. This is 865 Media's The Show. My name is Josh Stallard. I'm here with Craig Cox.
What's up?
Got Jackson Sills today.
Yes, sir.
Jake Woods.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to be doing a victory edition. And we've got the jam-packed show today. We've got the win over Arkansas and Thompson-Boling. The Vols staying undefeated at home. We've got the win over Georgia that we took care of. We're going to do a season review of Tennessee basketball. So overall look and look back at some of the games that happened earlier in the season. We got Tennessee baseball. But like I said, the Vols stay undefeated at home this year. Take care of Arkansas. Do what they got to do. Things were looking very good early. Very good.
Really good.
I believe we were 9 of 12 from 3 in the first half. That was just lights out. Got a big lead at halftime, and I was not comfortable. I don't know about y'all.
No, I wasn't. I mean, it was like really nice to be up at the half like we were. Like Arkansas made a hell of a push there. But at the end of the day, Tennessee got the W, and that's all that matters.
That is all that matters, and that's what I was thinking on Tuesday or Wednesday night too when we played against Georgia, was just come out with a win. But they got it done, and I think the game, took a little turn there in the last 6-7 minutes, and it was one of those moments where it's like, here we go again. But I think this team has gelled, and they've came together at the right time, and hopefully we have big things coming down the road here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, boys. 16 times I went into Thompson-Boling this year, and 16 times I walked out of Thompson-Boling with a victory, and that's a great feeling to do that. It's nice to go and win every single time you go to a building, and that's been a thing. We've been great at home. The atmosphere. I'm not going to sit here and act like every single game this year was, raucous, sold out, the weekday games. But on the weekend games, on the big games that mattered, the better we got this season, the fans came out, and you know how Tennessee fans are. We were loud. We were into the game. We were on Eric Muscle-less earlier. Muscle-woman, actually.
Yeah, don't call him
Eric Muscle-woman. He was running his mouth a little bit. I see that he was out of the cast. I'll break his arm again, put him back in that cast.
Yeah, I know. He's back to full strength. I love that.
Yeah, so he was running that mouth, and we were letting him have it, and he got teed up, and it was finally nice to see somebody get teed up for once. And, we got that big lead, and we were shooting lights out in the first half. But like I said, I was not comfortable because I knew we could go in a lull, and I knew Arkansas was a good team. They were going to hit some shots. They were going to make a run in the second half, and lo and behold, they did. But we held them off, and there was I feel bad for Kennedy Chandler a little bit because they were harping on him for the free throws. I don't know if y'all saw in the post-game comments, Barnes even got on him and said, "How are you going to be a first-round draft pick and miss that many free throws?" But he was only 0 for 3 or something like that?
But I think he airballed. He definitely airballed one of them and almost airballed another.
I know, but he's been so good. I mean, yeah, those were 3 big free throws that he missed, but we won the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just feel like he was taking off a lot of heat. But he even said himself, he's like, it's a mental thing. I got to get better at this before the tournament. And yeah, he does need to get better at free throws, but at the same time, I feel like the ball needs to be in Vescovi's hands closer to the end because he's a little bit better free throw shooter, but he's not so. But you give up a little bit in ball handling with him too.
Quickness.
So that's a give and take. But also looking back at that game, Ziegler, he went 50%. He was one of one couple of those critical situations. He did make at least one. And that first one, it rimmed out. I mean, it was almost all the way down. So, I mean, I have confidence with our guards shooting. Free throws. We've gotten better as the season's gone on with our free throws, so I'm not, too worried about our free throws right now.
Yeah. And I think the ribbing from Barnes, I think it was more of just a lighthearted type thing, and that kind of speaks to, just the relationship that he has with his players. It was more like, him, giving his boys a hard time, or like one of us, making fun of each other for missing a free throw. But yeah, you without you, we wouldn't have won the game. So I think but Chandler. That being said, Chandler definitely does need to work on his free throws. That's been something all season, and Vescovi, definitely confident in him at the line. Ziegler as well. And I think one could really be critical of SEC officials in every single SEC game, but that game was a little bit different. It was called different than most of the Tennessee games or most of the games that I've been seeing, where they've kind of just been letting them play. But they called 50-something fouls in that game yesterday, and that just it killed our momentum, and that was kind of where the game changed for Arkansas. Was it got us out of our offensive rhythm, and then they got on a roll.
And you really hate to see an official take over a game. I understand that they're there for a reason. They're gonna call fouls and they're gonna control the game. But you can't take over as an official, and that's happened way too many times or this year. Unfortunately, or against Tennessee in most aspects. I know Arkansas probably felt that way yesterday, that Tennessee was getting the calls. But it's one of those things. I was really happy, overall with Tennessee. I think Tennessee is playing their best, or basketball of the year. A month ago, I was really kind of worried, with all the talent that we had, that Barnes, wasn't putting the best Tennessee team on the court. And now I feel really confident, we're going into next week as the 2 seed, and then getting in the tournament and seeing what happens.
Yeah, I mean, Zakai Ziegler doesn't even seem like he's a freshman anymore.
No.
It seems like he's been here for 3 years. And we know John Fulkerson's been here for 7 years. He's got a mortgage. He's got a car payment. He's got to mow the yard. He's got to do all kinds of stuff. I mean, he's a grown man. He's been here for 10 years. But
he's already part of the Tennessee fund. He's already, deep in them pockets with the Haslams.
I think it was Grant Ramey yesterday, had a picture of Fulke and all of his family on the court, and he said John Fulkerson with his kids and grandchildren out there at TBA today, which was pretty funny. But yeah, it's going to be sad to see old Fulke go. It feels like he's been here for 10 years, and I've enjoyed most of it. But yeah, I'm glad that John Fulkerson was involved.
I still think he's got a few big games in him, because you never know one of those games they're going to hit from him where he's going to go for 16 points and 10 rebounds or something like that. And we need that in the tournaments coming up. Looking to on our side of the bracket, more than likely, if we can win against probably be playing Kentucky, right?
More than likely, yeah.
So
I mean,
if we can win our first game. Which
historically, we've done well against Kentucky in the last couple years in the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
Don't let them know that. I don't want to hear them on Twitter.
We don't have Lamonte Turner, but we do have Zakai Ziegler.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, wrapping up the Arkansas game, the four steady guys, Chandler, James, Vescovi, and Ziegler all evenly distributed on the points. Our offense is becoming very even, like I was talking about in the last podcast, and again against Arkansas. We don't go through as many lulls with this team. We've got options to score, so I like our odds going into the SEC tournament and NCAA tournament. If we can get the right matchups, who knows?
Yeah.
But
One last little note that I'd like to point out that I found it pretty interesting. You look at this team and what they're made up of. They're made up of a lot of freshmen, a lot of newcomers. You got Fulke, of course. You got Euros, but they won more SEC basketball games than Grant and Amaral did in their championship season. So I think that speaks a lot, given how highly Tennessee fans and the nation thought of that Grant and Amaral team.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have won the freaking regular season title this year with the record we have. But of course, Auburn just had a little bit better season than us.
Yeah, and you have that one game against Alabama.
Yeah, or where Fulke and Chandler were out. I think if that game would have gone differently, or if they'd have been there, I definitely think we would have been the co-champs. So. Yeah,
definitely. That kind of segues us into the next segment. We're going to go into the Tennessee season review. Overall, we started off in non-conference with UT Martin, I mean, what more can you say? We took care of business in that game. ETSU, same way, local school. ETSU step up in competition, really. I mean, I don't know what more we can say about those two. I mean, but the Villanova game, that was our first true test of the season, facing off of Jay Wright. And I think that game we kind of realized that we were going to have some offensive struggles.
Yeah, there was going to be some times that it was going to be bad.
But also in that game, you kind of realized, we've got these freshman guards that are very talented as well. And in that game, really Vescovi was carrying us for the most part in that game. Ziegler had 7, but yeah, I mean, that was just we couldn't put the ball in the basket in that game. We were just a little bit overwhelmed, but like I said, it was an early game. They blew us out. We take care of. I mean, like I said, that was our first true test. Didn't go well, but of course in that tournament, I can't remember the name of it, but it was the Bahamas tournament.
No,
Cheese It Hall of Fame tip-off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never forget that one.
Yeah.
How does Cheese It always get in on these bowls? I mean, they must give us some good money, because if they're like, well, I know it's Cheese It, but I mean, look how much money we got to call this thing the Cheese It now.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, took care of North Carolina.
Yeah, the next day. I remember, like, in the Villanova game after it was over, or I was on the cliff. I was like, oh, no, this is bad. I was like, Tennessee is, nowhere as good as I thought they were going to be. And then we come out the next day, and we beat North Carolina, pretty handily. And I went, oh, okay, I'm going to step back a little bit.
Who just handled number 4 Duke.
Yeah.
They sure did.
Coach K's last game.
We don't speak of that man on this podcast.
Oh, well, that was hilarious to see him. We got to talk about it. That was hilarious to see him losing all those Duke fans.
It was unacceptable. The season was acceptable. That game was unacceptable. To have 96 former players there to watch you screw it up was the best thing that I saw this weekend.
You lose to your arch rival on Coach K's last game at home, and you can't leave. You got to stay there and watch the stupid ceremony.
Yeah.
Do you think Coach K has any second thought of coming back now that he lost?
Is he going to Brett Favre?
Cameron Indoors last game against North Carolina? Any possibility?
Well,
I think there's a possibility, yeah. I think he goes, home, and there's some unfinished business there because you screwed up against a bad North Carolina team that you should have beat. And, Josh is, correct. That's so funny. It's like, hey, you just got beat by North Carolina, but you can't leave. We're going to have you do a speech. Speech.
He's just going to interim coach next year against North Carolina at home. He won't coach at all.
Yeah, he's going to get his revenge next year at Cameron against North Carolina. But
he's still pissed right now to this. He's just sitting there pissed.
And the funniest thing about the whole weekend is, freaking ESPN lost their marbles over Coach K all week.
They did.
And literally, who cares? Who cares about Coach K? Okay, cool. As far as I'm concerned, Duke.
Yeah, does anybody outside of Duke fans
no.
eat that, gobble that shit up?
They hate him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess Duke fans make up a large majority of college basketball. You got,
Well, there's a lot of Duke fans that are not Duke football fans.
Well, there's
They're
always
just
the
Duke
Yankees this
basketball
year,
fans.
and
Yeah,
then the
'cause
Warriors, the Lakers, whatever. So
there's a lot of those people I'm a Duke fan. It's like, they are not.
we went to high school with a kid that was a Duke fan, and I literally.
Where are you from?
Yeah.
I'm from Tampa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Really like J.J. Redick, though, man. He could shoot. Okay, man.
Yeah, just like him because Coach
So
K.
you like the Cowboys in the early to mid to late 90s.
Yeah, but getting back to Tennessee season review, win against North Carolina. That was the game. That was the game I remember. Who Ziegler broke out, and we're like,
Who's this kid?
This kid's.
Who's this
We've
kid?
heard of Kennedy Chandler. We've heard him. Of course, he went off with 14, 5, and 8 in that game, so he played good too. Shot the ball a lot, but Ziegler in that game, we were like, who is this kid? I remember that game. It's like, this guy's just as. And we know about Chandler, but Ziegler going off, and it's like, the more and more you learn about that kid as the season went on. But he didn't take long. It didn't take long for him to break out like that. And it was in a big spot against North Carolina. And it was also good to beat North Carolina because I've went to a lot of games and seen Tennessee lose a lot over the years to North Carolina basketball, and it's finally good to take them down. And I don't care if they're down this year a little bit or whatnot, but they're ranked. I mean, well, they're not ranked, but they're a tournament team.
At the time, they were ranked 18th when we played them.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
you can say, they're down. They don't got Roy Williams anymore, whatever. But we did what we had to do in that game. So that that kind of gave you a little bit more hope. It's like, yeah, we looked like crap against Villanova, but we got North Carolina, you know. So had a couple barn burners against Tennessee Tech and Presbyterian.
Or the Tech game was kind of
It was
like
a
odd
back and
game.
forth.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was an odd game.
They made it a game for a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I got kind of worried during that game.
yeah. That was kind of at the point too where he started being like, okay, well maybe we're not good.
Yeah, it's going to be up and down. It's going to be like a roller
It
coaster
was
all
very
season.
reminiscent of last season's team early on.
But yeah, I mean, you get to those games around like Thanksgiving and stuff. Maybe they ate too much turkey, stuff, whatnot. I mean,
Yeah, it was the day after, so I mean that's very possible.
yeah. I mean, we won the game. We took it. Presbyterian. I think they probably have a good chance to win the NCAA tournament this year.
Yeah.
I think they can make
What
it.
is
So that was a good
the
win.
CTI?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they'll be
I mean,
top
that-
seed in the CTI.
Presbyterian, they're tough. But yeah, took care of them. Actually, at Colorado, I remember I was actually at
Nola's
birthday party during that game, but we watched it a little bit on the phone, and that was Kennedy Chandler game.
Yeah, Kennedy, Chandler, and Fulke, I think. I did not personally get to watch a whole lot of that game. However, I remember the takeaway was
Really-
Kennedy and Fulke on the pick and roll.
It was a really like tough road atmosphere too. I remember that from that game. Like they were rocking in Boulder that game, and like Kennedy like went off for what, like 28, 29 points, something like that. And they played great defense. And like the Colorado game was also a game that I was like, okay, I know that like Tennessee can do what I think Tennessee can do. It's just like a matter of can Tennessee do it like not in and not out. So
Yeah, and I don't know if let's see, Colorado
They
Are
just
they a
beat
tournament
Arizona
team?
last week. No,
they're 20 and 10, but they're in the
Yeah,
Pac-12.
Yeah, I think they're. I guess Lenardi's not too high on them, so that means they won't make it to
They're
the
probably
tournament.
like an NIT team, but yeah, I mean, like I said, we handled business in Boulder. Got the road win. That was like one of our first. Yeah, we had the non-conference neutral site against Villanova, North Carolina, but that was like our first true road test. Took care of Colorado, gave us some confidence. Then going in, we didn't know how good Texas Tech the next game, how good they were actually going to be. But they're I wouldn't say they're one of the best teams in the country, but they were probably on the 3 or 4 line.
Yeah.
Lose that game. I remember we did
painful.
a podcast after
That was
that.
painful.
yeah,
We
it was
did.
bad.
God, that was just. And then it goes to overtime.
And we had a chance. We had a chance in regulation. Vescovi did, and love him to death, but he missed that shot.
Mm-hmm.
And we kept shooting threes. James, this was before James got hot,
Oh
and he
yeah,
kept shooting threes, and we kept missing. I mean, that whole second half was brutal, and that's to me is kind of what I'm thinking. This is just going to be just like last year. You win a good game, you lose a good game, you don't have any consistency. And I remember saying, I was like, this team, they don't have a floor leader. You got James. James, he's a good vocal leader. He's a locker room guy, team building guy, but he wasn't backing it up on the court. And, fast forward now to what we know, he's backing it up, and the W's keep stacking.
Yeah, that was. I was mad at Josiah that game. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean he's more than made up for it this season. He's proved me wrong. I was down on him, but he's been the glue guy this year, and he's kind of like I said. Barnes knows more than us. I mean he knew that Josiah was gonna turn the corner. He was gonna start playing better, and he has this year. I mean. I can't even say who's the MVP for this team, though. Can you guys say it?
No, not off the top of my head.
In the middle, I mean, you can't really
Everybody's
give it.
contributed in their own way.
You can't really give it to one guy. I
Yeah.
mean, I would, if I had to say, I'd say Vescovi.
He's been the most consistent by
Yeah.
far.
I mean, I if I had to, but anyways, moving on. We took care of UNCG. North Carolina, Coastal,
UNC Greensboro.
Yeah.
UNC Greensboro.
One of those
I
schools
can't even
over there
remember.
off the mountain.
I can't even remember that
Directional
game.
North Carolina school.
Yeah.
I remember when we played them. I was like, who is that? But whatever.
And then another riveting matchup against SC Upstate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You
South
can't forget
Carolina
about the
Upstate.
Saturday cancel with Memphis. That was fun.
God, I remember that. That was just one of the worst chicken things that I've ever seen in my life. Penny Hardaway And how is that team on the bubble right now? I hope they don't make the tournament. But
they're in. They beat Houston today.
Yeah, but that game was canceled. Penny Hardaway running for cover. You know, the game that wasn't, I remember, that was when the Twitter space thing kind of started. And the guys from Fox Sports Radio got on there, and there it was just, they had Memphis fans going on there back and forth with Tennessee fans.
It was comical.
I listened to that I was like, well, I ain't watching the game, might as well listen to this. So I listened to that for a good 2 or 3 hours, and that was good content right there.
And the worst part about it is I think that was actually on a day that like Tennessee had a football game, so like fans chose between like one or the other, and ended up going to Nashville and they canceled it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't.
There wasn't. I remember.
I think there was something going on like here, but
yeah, I couldn't imagine going to Nashville. How much more pissed those people would have been paying for tickets and driving out to Nashville and having Penny Hardaway pull that crap. But yeah,
or if anything like it, or made Tennessee like well rested for Arizona coming in the next game. So I mean, there is a silver lining there.
Yeah. Like I said, that huge win against Arizona. We knew it at the time. That was going to be a huge win. That was going to carry a lot of weight with us going into March for tournament time. We didn't know how good we were going to be but we knew that Arizona win was going to go a long way with us. John Fulkerson coming out.
He manned up in that game.
That was just one of his best performances of all time. 24-10. Fulky, you know, he was back to his prime in that game for one game anyways, until he had to get back to doing dad things and granddad things. But
it's hard being a father.
Yeah,
Jimmy needed him on the board at the Tennessee Fund donors meeting.
Yeah, I think some of these other games he's had to like mow the yard. So, you know, do some work around the house. His wife's got him doing a big honey to-do list. So, I mean, I think that's what's getting to him.
Our kids had a ball game. He was late getting to his game. You know,
it's things like that. Taking the kid to the park. His daughter got stuck up in the slide. Had to go up there and get him. I mean,
that
stuff happens.
Take it out of you.
Stuff happens.
I can't imagine playing a 40-minute college basketball game.
It's part of being that. But he came to play against Arizona, though.
He did. He was well rested.
I mean, what can you say? That was one of our biggest wins of the season. Like we've talked about, all those big wins we have. That's going to be beautiful on our resume.
And we found out, after that game that like Arizona fans are horrible. Like Twitter was horrible. They were like, "Who is Tennessee? Who is Tennessee? I mean, like you just got beat by us. That's who like Tennessee is. Shut up."
Who is Arizona? They're the ones known for having an FBI investigation because their coach was like one of the ones that got caught paying players. And
watch out for the rattlesnakes. Like, don't worry about Tennessee, man. We're good. We beat you.
Yeah, but then that next game, I almost want to skip over this game because it's that game that looking back, the COVID game where we lost Kennedy Chandler and Fulky, and probably cost us the SEC regular season title.
Never happened.
Gosh, we played so well for 35 minutes in that game.
Yeah, and then the last 5 minutes were horrible to watch. Yeah. Just horrible.
Yeah, we had the lead most of that game. We did.
And that was Ziegler. Ziegler was our starting point guard on the road, SEC,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean.
That was tough.
Yeah, that was a tough loss. But, like I said, Alabama, they were better earlier in the year. They're still a decent tournament team, so it's not like it's a terrible loss. Ole Miss. That was another one of those. That and Texas Tech.
It's the only game I've been to all year. Was the Ole Miss.
Oh yeah, he did.
That was tough. I remember I was at that one as well, and that was it was very reminiscent of Texas Tech and Texas. We had those 3 games that were just so hard to watch, but we won that one.
Yeah, somehow, some way, in overtime too.
Yeah,
in overtime, that was a.
I don't think we had the lead in that one until overtime.
If that was a football game, the score would have been like that Frank Beamer game where it was 0-0 or something going into overtime. Frank Beamer's got his hands go. It's like happy as hell. Yeah. All right. LSU
on the
road. It's like we've seen this dog and pony show before. Usually with the refs screwing us over. So I mean. Will Wade's goofy-looking ass beats us again. I mean, we got our revenge later on the season, but yeah, tough place to play down there in Baton Rouge. So.
And again, we weren't playing our best ball at that point.
I'd say this point during the season was probably when we were playing our worst ball.
Yeah.
Between Alabama and then a game we're gonna go skip here in a minute at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is when you were close to hitting the panic button.
Really questioning
Yeah.
what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, we kind of figured our offense out, and
that was when 60% of the fan base was trying to find Rick Barnes' replacement for next year.
I know.
What I think somebody on this podcast
Send him to UCLA. Just send him out there to LA. Get rid of him.
Was that in this house told me something about Rick Pitino. Get Rick Pitino to Knoxville. It may or may not be our producer, but
regular season Rick. That's all he does. Regular season Rick.
But yeah, that Rick was he was just the deacon.
Oh yeah, speaking of Rick Barnes, that was freaking awesome. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen him do. After the Arkansas game, he got on the mic, and he said something about Tennessee fans have the best fans in the country, blah blah blah, and it's just like, okay, I'm surprised he did that, and like everybody got hype, and then he started singing, "It's great to be a Tennessee Vols."
I didn't know that.
Barnes did.
That
I was
is
like,
awesome.
that's very uncharacteristic of Barnes. And like I thought that was really awesome.
Or the only thing he could have done better there is say that Tennessee had the best fans in the country, and then say Austin Styles me for all the he talked all year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, we give Rick crap, but we'll give him credit when he's doing good too. I mean,
That's
he's
true.
undefeated at home. How many teams can say that?
We could be a whole lot worse off than we are with Rick Barnes.
Absolutely.
I
mean,
tell you that every day of my life.
we still got to see, how we do in the tournaments. I'm not holding my breath that we do great, but I mean, if one of these years, I feel like we're gonna break through. Why not this year? But yeah, we take care of South Carolina at home. Blow them out. Start feeling a little bit better. Still didn't score a lot of points. Vescovy doing his thing. Frank Martin. Him and Rick Barnes have like some type of infatuation with each other. I don't know what it is, but like they love each other for some reason. It's like hell. Maybe if I don't know who it was that was talking on the radio, but I was like, maybe if they fire Frank Martin, he can come be an assistant coach for us.
I think the funniest thing I've ever heard about Frank Martin is like one time he was in an interview and somebody asked him a basketball question and he totally blew by the question and started talking about how we need to pay teachers more. And like he went on like a 10-minute rant about how we need to pay teachers more. And like Frank Martin's a great guy. He's a mediocre basketball coach, but like he does have a Final Four. So
He's got a point, Craig. We do need to pay teachers.
we definitely do. We
He's-
definitely do.
He's like the assistant principal that's like overly serious and wants to talk to you about life, and you're just like, man, I don't want to have anything to do with
I'm
you
just
right
trying
now.
to smoke
It's like,
this joint, bro.
Yeah, it's like, please just leave me alone. But yeah, he'll be on the Tennessee staff next year after he gets fired. Tennessee loses at Rupp.
Skip over that.
Yeah,
that's all
let's
we
just
need to say.
burn that game to the ground. Come back at Vanderbilt and get a win. We,
You could say that was a gritty, grinded out game.
Yeah.
And if that game would have went the other way, I don't know if this team would be where they're at now. Because that was a gut check. You lose, 29 against Kentucky. You got to go on the next one, take care of business, and they.
How do you
out.
respond? That was the big question after that. So yeah.
And that James was out the second half of that game.
Yep.
He got a concussion or something, and they gritted it out, and we won. And maybe that was the turning point.
Oh, Josiah was out that game?
Yeah, the second half.
Okay. Yeah, that, like I said, when we play Vandy, I mean, it's always going to be a tough game because they're a rival most of the time. So, I mean, that's a little bit of a basketball rivalry. Not much of I ain't giving them no credit for football, but I'll give them a little bit of credit for basketball. I mean, that's a decent rivalry. I know I've been out there. Me and Sills made that trip once. That time Robert Hubbs hit that game-winning shot out there, and that was Donnie Tyndall's
lone trip
season.
to Nashville.
So yeah, that was a fun time. Hassan was on that trip. That was a
Hassan
big
still
win.
got the video
We
somewhere on his flip phone.
we No, I recovered that video.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you recovered it.
Yeah, I did.
That's right. That's right.
Had to plug the old like Nokia up and get the footage off of it.
I know. I thought that video had been lost. And
Yeah.
It was.
That was
recovered.
what we went on
From the
the court after
archives.
that game. That was old Dietrich Mostella was
Yeah.
still playing with the Vols.
Yeah, we were down there chilling with Donnie Tyndall and all the Vols after that game out there. But yeah, that was a good win. Get the revenge on LSU at home against Will Wade, and that was a huge win. That was one of our best wins other than Arizona coming up to that one. Got that big win against LSU. They were ranked a little bit higher at the time, and we needed that to give us a little bit more confidence. If it was like, well, they're one of the better teams in the SEC. We needed a trademark win, and just another win in Thompson Bowling. Great victory.
And we got Florida. Florida was a tough one.
It was a gritty game. Yeah.
Yeah, we were down. We jumped on a run on them, and then they jumped back on us, and I think they got up 10+ points, but we ended up with the W.
It's always good to beat the Gators though, and get a little Gator chomp in one of those Florida fans' faces because they like to do it. Screw Florida fans; they're the worst fans in the country. We took care of them. We beat the Gators in basketball like we do. I mean, Mike White's a fraud. He's terrible.
Extend Mike White.
Yeah, I mean, we need to keep him, actually. Yeah, I mean, Barnes has no trouble taking care of him.
Danny, keep your brother in Florida.
So let me picture this. When I picture a Florida fan, I think of a skinny 20-year-old dude with super jelly hair and a too tight pink polo shirt with a gator hat on and some real baggy cargo pants, jorts, and some K-Swisses. Is anybody, can you picture that for me?
So
smoking a cigarette.
Smoking a
So
cigarette.
you picture like a dirtball Tim Tebow with the spiked hair, the jorts, like the way too small polo, and he thinks that Florida's going to go all the way again this year.
And he still doesn't believe Aaron Hernandez killed anybody.
And he's also coming off of being featured on Florida Man, on some website because of something stupid he did earlier in the week. So yeah.
Trash fan base. A Florida fan is the type of fan that'll try to steal your girlfriend from you. He's a type of person that'll like steal your lawnmower or weed eater, and then you go down to the pawn shop a few days later and it's right there.
Yeah.
I know a guy like that. We grew up with him.
He's not a Florida fan though.
No.
Texas. At Texas, return for Rick. He
Big emotional game, man.
close game, couldn't pull it out, but
Like Josiah too at the end there, taking that shot, and then like literally, like putting the entire state of Tennessee on his shoulders all week. I felt bad for him.
yeah.
I'll say it again though, as he did in the Texas Tech game, Vescovi had a chance to knock down a three, and I love the guy. He knocks down a bunch of threes for us, but that's twice this year that he had a chance to kind of put it on ice for us.
Yeah.
So he may not have that Lamonte Turner clutch factor in it.
I mean, I honestly feel like Ziegler's probably the most clutch
Yeah.
of our guards.
Yeah.
Just
You never feel bad when the ball's in Z's hands at all.
I mean, that puts hair on your chest having to take a train when you're still in high school from one state to the next just to try to better yourself. So I mean, I think he's far beyond his years as a freshman, true freshman. But yeah, moving on, another Texas school. So we got the win this time against A&M, mediocre team. I mean, put up a lot of points in that game, 90 points.
Mm-hmm.
So got that victory. And went down to Colonial Life Arena after that. Took care of
Frank
South
Martin and the
Carolina.
boys.
Yeah, Frank Martin, as we touched on earlier. Of course, Rick's going to beat him. His buddy's like, hey, I ain't making the tournament this year, so you got this, Rick. I'll take my starters out. I swear, we're going to be out there like driving or going out there on the lake, and we'll probably see Rick Barnes out there on his boat with him and Frank Martin out there. Like,
But their wives won't be there.
Yeah, it'll just be them. It's like, what the hell? But yeah, Barnes take care of his buddy again at Mississippi State at the Hump. The Hump. Yeah, I just want to go there just so I can say, yeah, I've been to the Hump. It's like,
Or so did
I
you
know there's
guys
not much
think
there.
that like Ben Howland was going to be a bigger factor in the SEC than he's been? I did. I was kind of worried about Mississippi State, but he's kind of been mediocre.
yeah, I mean, he just looks old.
Yeah,
God, he looks old. I mean, Rick Barnes looks a little old, but
it's better than
Jesus.
looking like a bird. But yes, he looks
Yeah.
It's
old.
like, dude.
The difference between the two is Rick Barnes looks old, but he looks old when you're successful.
Right.
Ben Howland, he
Yeah.
just looks sad.
No, like Rick Barnes is like the old tycoon that has all the money in the world, like life's great. Ben Howland's the divorced 3 times and has
Yes.
2 kids who hate him. That's Ben Howland old.
Yeah. He does look like the kind of guy that's just looking back over his life. He's like, where did I go wrong?
Like Ben Howland walks in a room and you're like, oh well, time to go, honey.
Who are we sitting here talking about? He's a freaking millionaire. He's been to a Final Four. I mean, that's why we were saying, I mean,
we almost hired him. Like, it was either
Yeah.
him or, like, Rick Barnes, wasn't it?
yeah. But yeah, we beat them.
Yeah. I'm glad we went with Rick.
Take care of them. Vandy again. And what we do with Vandy, we beat them. I mean, that's,
Sorry, Jerry.
Jerry Stackhouse,
Jerry.
you
Jerry
know,
Jones? Jerry Stackhouse.
he's got to be, his days are numbered at Vandy, I would think. But
They thought they had something, and with their basketball program, they had a successful coach, and they got rid of him.
Like Kevin.
The guy that's
What's his name?
He went
Kevin,
to Pitt and
Kevin
really
something,
flamed
yeah.
out there.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
But they got rid of him, and they haven't been. And then Bryce Harper, who is it? Drew Harper.
Bryce Drew.
Bryce Drew. There you go. He went over in the SEC. He recruited like hell, but
Kevin Stallings.
Kevin
Stallings.
Stallings, yes.
Kevin Stallings.
but they were successful with
Yeah.
him
They were a tournament team every year. with
year.
them.
They
I
might have
do.
lost the first round,
Yeah.
but they were in there.
That was kind of the height of the Tennessee and Vandy rivalry. As I remember it in
Yeah.
recent years, was when he was there, and like you said, they kind of were wanting to take another
Yeah.
step, and they're like, well, we got to run this guy out of here, and we're going to bring in Bryce Drew, and everywhere he's been, he's kind of just started off okay, and then went downhill. But yeah, so then one of the biggest games of the year. In a raucous Thompson-Boling Arena, Tennessee lays the freaking hammer down on Kentucky.
And
Revenge is best served cold.
which game did Cumlaw? Did he go down at the Hump, or did he go down at home against Vandy?
I think it was Mississippi State.
Okay. So that would have been the
believe.
second game without Cumlaw
Yeah.
when we beat them. Because Adu really stepped up.
Yeah, that's when you were like, okay, why hasn't he been playing?
Adu
Where's
stepped
he
up.
been?
Chandler played well. Chandler shot, was knocking down some big shots.
But yeah, I mean, it could have been a bench clearing brawl. I would have came down
Yes.
there and hit somebody. Hopefully, John Calipari. I don't know, but like he said, they were
Carlton
they were
would've taken-
manhandled by men.
Like Carlton, would have taken care of your ass. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll whoop his ass like Uncle Phil. But yeah, that was probably. Oh yeah, that's one of the things we should say. Let's rank. Actually, let's do this after we finish it. I want to rank the top 3 of our wins, as far as over Auburn, Kentucky, and Arizona.
I put Arkansas in there too, because that was the big one. That was
I mean,
the big one.
I just don't see that being any bigger
Okay.
than those, but we can. I mean, but yeah, I just think we can do that. Get
Be
to
our top 3 then.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, beat Kentucky, and then we had a turnaround game at Arkansas. That was a tough game. That was not a lot of points scored. Calls didn't go our way in that game, and
Number 10, I think, is still getting charges as we speak. I don't know his name. I have no idea. He's just number 10. But he literally would step on the court and it would be a charge against Tennessee. So
yeah, and I don't know why they named their stadium after the local hardware store. The guy down the hardware store down the road, Bud Walton. But
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, Yep. And at Mizzou, Konzo goes down again, as he has a lot to Tennessee since he left, and
and to everybody else in the SEC.
You just hate to see it.
But Tennessee fans are the reason that he's not here anymore.
Because we're racist.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah.
So is he coaching Missouri next year, y'all think?
Nah.
Think he's done?
He's gone. He's gone. I mean, he has two tournament appearances, but I mean, Missouri is usually decent in basketball over the years. I mean, they're usually like a fairly decent basketball program.
A
So
very
they
good
probably
Big
expect
12
better.
school. Like, I don't like them being in the SEC, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And then, like we spoke on last week,
Came
The
in there,
Bruce.
smacked him with a rack of ribs. How you doing, Brucey?
we took care of old Bruce once and for all. Well, not once and for all. We'll see him again. Of
We
course,
got the
because
monkey off our back, though.
he couldn't go to Louisville or something. We still got to see his ugly ass every year. And man, he needs to shave that beard. I mean, what is he? Does he have a camel like with a pair of scissors with that beard?
Well, his ex-wife owns a hair salon. It's called
God,
alimony. You think he could like get an appointment, but
what is he doing with that? But yeah,
He's trying to pull something with that beard. I mean, he's trying to look fresh.
oh yeah, he had it.
he's
He
trying
had
to
it
get
in
that
order.
Just for Men sponsorship is what he's trying to do. I like notice there's a little gray in there, but
Touch of Gray. You haven't seen that one?
oh yeah, sorry, the Silver Fox,
Yeah.
Bruce Pearl.
So, but yeah, Bruce gets taken care of.
Brucey.
Big win, one of our top 3 wins of the season. Go down to Stegman like we talked about.
Or we do something that we haven't done since we were seniors in high school, and we beat Georgia at
In
Stegman.
Stegman Coliseum.
So, and for anybody that doesn't know, it was a very long time ago when we were in high school, 2006. So it was nice to get that monkey off our back this season too. So
Why can we never win there? I mean, they're not even good.
Mm-mm.
It makes no sense.
That's why we just have the mindset that they're terrible.
That's the same thing with Alabama. We never win there either in basketball. There's just certain places we never freaking win in basketball and football at the Swamp. We never win in the Swamp. But yeah, and then to close out the season, to make it full circle, back to the Arkansas game. And what do we finish on the season, boys?
23-7, I believe.
23 and
16-0
7 with some huge wins over the season. And
We got a 2 seed next week. I mean, there's a lot going in Tennessee's favor right now, and I'm really excited about it.
yeah, I mean I would think we're locked into a 3 seed right now.
Yeah, got to be. And I was talking to Jackson about this earlier before we started recording. You know, I tried to come up with an argument that I thought was valid for Tennessee to talk about a 2 seed. And Jackson thinks that there is, and I'd be on board with him. I think Tennessee is one of the top 8 teams in the country. You know, like we just went through the season review there. Like Tennessee did not lose a game to a team that wasn't in the top 25 all year. I mean,
Only them, Tennessee and Gonzaga, are the only 2 teams
yeah.
that haven't done that.
So for me, that speaks volumes. I mean, you know, that is a battle tested, gritty team. Tennessee was on a roller coaster. There was times or just like I said, I was on the cliff. But you know, overall, 23-7 is a great season. So
Yeah, if you'd asked me at the beginning of the year, I would definitely take 23-7. Like I said, because we're on the 3 line right now. I don't see us falling. I would think with that win over Arkansas, even if
Tennessee can make a 2 seed this week. Definitely by winning the tournament. But I think if you get to Sunday, I think you have a very valid argument.
we gotta at least get to Sunday. I think to get a 2.
Here's the thing, especially when you throw the SEC tournament in on breaking down getting a 2 seed. To me, you know, our metrics are good. You know, as far as you look at strength of schedule, you look at the net, we're top 10, top 5, I think, strength of schedule. But if we get to Friday, we play Kentucky, we beat, or I guess that'd be Saturday. If we get to Saturday, we play Kentucky, we beat Kentucky. You got us or Kentucky, you're picking for a 2 seed. And you got, you know, a best of 3 series where a team has won 2 or 3. You know, it is Kentucky.
But how do you not put Tennessee in
how would
there?
you not put Tennessee in that? But even without having gone through that thought process, I still think that, you know, Tennessee has good metrics, and Joe Lenardi is not the NCAA tournament committee, so you know we don't know what they're thinking. They had us on the 3 or 4 line 3 weeks ago, and since then we've beaten Auburn, we've beaten Kentucky, and we've beaten Arkansas. So I mean we got the wins. 3 or 2, it doesn't matter. We got to take care of business, in our matchups. But just as far as, the debate of where we should or shouldn't be, I think we're right there.
Yeah, definitely. Like you're saying, with strength of schedule and everything, I don't see how the tournament committee cannot love us. And I got an email. They didn't want me on the committee this year, but I'm going to try to get on next year. So hopefully I can work in that and get us a 1 seed next year. But we'll see. But yeah, great season overall. Like I said, 16 wins at home. You gotta love that. I mean, nobody would even thought that this year. I mean, if you say Tennessee was undefeated at home, you would think we would probably won the regular season title.
Oh, for sure.
Unfortunately, Auburn was undefeated at home too.
And I mean, it does bring into question, and I don't want to jinx us, but it does bring into question, how are we going to be on these neutral site games?
I'm really worried about Tennessee outside of TVA, but I have enough confidence in this team to be able to be gritty and to play hard nosed and to respond to being in a neutral site and playing well. So
yeah, I mean, I feel good about us probably getting to the Sweet 16 even without looking at any certain matchups. So, once you get to the Sweet 16. You're going to be playing some very tough teams that could go either way. I mean, regardless, once you get to that round, I mean, anything can happen. But you just got to get lucky for once, and we haven't had that happen in the past. So it's we're so due. Never been to a Final Four. I mean, please, I'm going to start praying since it's March Madness now. I'm going to start praying every day that we can actually make a Final Four for once.
Or does that have anything to do with the bet that you may have placed a couple weeks ago?
Oh yeah, I did put a little bit of small wager on the balls to make
for
a Final
entertainment
Four.
purposes only.
It's good value.
Yeah,
it's good value.
What
would you get on it?
I don't know exactly. It was $30 to win almost $400.
Hell yeah!
So whatever those odds are. I mean, I've done terrible this year betting anyways, so I figure why not throw that at it? Who knows?
It's just money.
It can just be another loss I can chalk up. If not, I mean,
it's just money.
Hell with it. But yeah, hopefully we get somewhere close, within driving distance, so maybe we can go, or we can
do a remote show.
Yeah,
on site,
on location.
At least have somewhat of a contingency of Tennessee fans, so we can get loud, heckle the other teams, do what we do. But yeah, that's moving on from wrapping up basketball. I don't know if y'all got anything
I do
else.
want to say one thing before we get out of the basketball thing. On Wednesday night, this past week, I took my son to go meet Euros and Muscovy at Dick's. They did a little shoot around thing, and I couldn't be more thrilled with the whole event. My son had a great time. Was excited to be there. They were great with the kids. Signed some autographs and all that. And I think, for an athlete in college, for you to go and to spend time with the kids, that are sitting there and watching you on television every week, that's big, and that's a core memory thing for these kids, is that they got to play gotcha. With Euros and Muscovy. I mean, that's a really neat deal. So I just wanted to throw that out there and say thanks to those guys for the opportunity to do that. So
yeah, he's gonna be a star in the European leagues one day, probably.
Yeah.
But with this shooting touch, you never know. Maybe he can sneak in.
The NBA does international players.
Yeah,
he's got another year to develop too. So
yeah,
the strides that he made from last year to this year was, bar none. So
yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, they were talking about him actually, about one of the biggest. I heard an interview with one of the assistant coaches. I can't remember who it was, but they were just saying how the biggest difference is he's, obviously his defense, but with that he's become like very, very well conditioned, and so he can just like play all the time. And I think that's one of the reasons why he plays so many minutes too. If y'all notice, like, he's always in the game, because he's just in such good shape. So, it goes a long way. So, he's worked hard, so don't doubt him.
I don't know if you guys know this, but Jimmy Dox has told me, 10, 11 times throughout the season that Vescovi runs 6 miles throughout a game.
Yeah.
In one basketball game.
I know what you're talking about.
So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I love that kid. But moving on, Tennessee baseball was playing in a big tournament this weekend.
Wasn't the Cheez-It tournament?
No.
Shriners.
The Shriners tournament.
The Shriners Classic at Minute Maid Park.
And we had a huge game against Texas, number 1 team in the country. Lost. They, we had opportunities. We had men on base. We had bases loaded at one point, but, we just got to take advantage of those opportunities, and I feel like we'll be fine. We bounced back against Baylor the next game, and obviously took care of Oklahoma today. So, that was kind of what you expected. I don't think anybody really expected us to beat Texas. Of course, we have to lose to them again after losing to them in Omaha last year. That sucked, but, I still feel like we looked good. Our pitching, I don't think, is quite as good as it was last year.
I was really impressed on Friday with Burns, though.
Yeah, you got a true
Really
freshman
impressed.
out there.
Really impressed.
Those 5 innings, 10 Ks.
And probably could have gone longer. I think Tony B
Yeah.
actually said something about he kind of wishes he didn't pull him now, but
Because that's when the lid kind of fell off for us. Bad night for Sewell, but he'll bounce back.
and you'll have that. That's going to happen in baseball. It's part of the game. You're not going to get your bullpen coming in and going lights out all the time. So
yeah, it's like Craig said, it's college baseball too. So you'll have a top SEC team lose a midweek game to a small state school. Right after they came off a series win over a top SEC school. Yeah. So it's hard to gather a whole lot from that one game against Texas. But from what we've seen so far with the Vols is they can hit. They're going to put runs on the board. And even in that Texas game, they're playing in a major league park, and those Texas outfielders track down a lot of
there was a lot of really good plays made by Texas outfielders.
And we hit some balls hard, and they tracked them down. But there's nothing, I don't think there's anything this weekend that, we found out about him other than they can hit pitching. It's not just the Iona Gales. So, you put up 18 runs against the Big 12, Baylor and Oklahoma. So
I still feel bad for Iona that they had to get absolutely just whacked, and then they had to get on a bus and drive back home, and think about that for 11 hours.
Their season's done.
Yeah, there's no coming back.
They literally had 4 people quit, and they're like, "I'm not doing this no more. I had enough of this."
Well, they got blown out by Old Dominion the week before they played us too.
Oh man,
I'm just kidding. I just made that.
Their
up.
coach did not do them any favors. It's like, hey guys, let's go play an SEC school. Let's lose all our confidence.
Or coaches in a locker room before a game are supposed to get you hype or ready to play. And the Iona's one all right guys, we'll get this over with. So.
And if you notice, Friday and Saturday didn't have a mercy rule. Sunday had a mercy rule. Maybe it was because of the travel, or maybe it was because Tennessee put up 55 runs against them on Friday and Saturday.
It's that meme, stop, he's already dead.
Mm-hmm. On the Simpsons, yeah.
But we'll have Tidwell back hopefully soon. And
have you heard anything about him?
Huh?
Have y'all heard anything about when he might be coming back?
I think the early reports was maybe the start of SEC season, and I think Halverson had a longer time frame. I think Tidwell was shut down for soreness, so with that, I think you're just getting some rest. But
yeah, Around the SEC time, we're gonna have to stretch that out.
Yeah.
He needs to be pitching. I feel good with Tidwell.
Jeff Woods, you need to get to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get him going there, trainer.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was about par for the course, like we were saying. I mean, 2-1. I mean, not a bad showing. Texas game could have gone a lot of different ways. So.
And we have a lot of people right now. I think some positions that's still being jockeyed for. Left field, they're moving some pieces around out there. You got Kyle Booker, you got Seth Stevenson, you got 3 or 4 guys that they're not sold on, that's not locked down. You got the DH spot, so I think that's a good problem to have. I think we got some.
Oh yeah,
some
having
depth.
the depth there and being able to plug some guys in is always a plus.
Yeah, it looks like our first SEC game's against South Carolina on March 18th. So
Think we can get Rick to work us out a favor with Frank on that one?
yeah, probably maybe get some tickets lined up.
We got old Rob Lanier at Georgia State on television.
Up at the half in the Sun Belt Championship.
Calm down, Jake. You ain't there anymore.
But
Is that
yeah,
Jeremy Pruitt over there on the sideline? Oh, sorry, Georgia State.
well,
All right, boys, let's get into our top 3 here. We're going to go, I'll start us off, and then we'll go to Josh and Jackson. And we're going to rank the top 3 wins between Arizona, Kentucky, and Auburn this year. I'll start us out. For me, it would be Kentucky. After getting absolutely shellacked in Lexington, Tennessee responds at home, plays a great game. That was such a fun game to watch. Number 2, I would say Auburn. It was nice getting the pearl monkey off our back. I do want to say, if there's anybody in life who was freaking born on third base and thinks already hit a triple, it's Stephen Pearl, as he showered people in champagne like he had anything to do with what happened yesterday. But anyway, or then of course number 3, Arizona. We didn't know how big of a win that was when it happened. It was great at the time, but as we watched Arizona, later on in the year and saw how good they were, it was nice that Tennessee in the early stages of the season was able to get that win at TBA.
yeah, with mine, I'm gonna go number 1, Auburn, beating Bruce finally, getting that monkey off our back, huge win. I'll even top it over Kentucky, and it's always sweet to beat Kentucky, but. And a close number 2, being Kentucky, Thompson Bowling. Gotta love it. Gotta always rank them Kentucky wins up there because, it's Kentucky. Number 3, the win against Arizona. Huge win. Huge non-conference win. Gives us a lot of credibility in March. So, huge. Huge
liability.
Huge.
All right, I would say I'll have to roll with Josh on the number 1 and having Auburn there just because, for one, Rick Barnes would have caught so much flack if he would have not been able to beat Bruce Pearl again. So that was a huge monkey off the back. Number 2, I'm going to go Kentucky. Beautiful always to beat them, and the way we did it was nice. We dominated them. And number 3, it's not that important now, but I'm just going to say on the road against Vanderbilt. That was the game after Kentucky, and you lose that game, and we very well could have. We were tied with a minute left. But I'm gonna put that one in there because I think that was when they jailed and they turned. But that's it.
I like that outside of the box a little bit. That worked out. Something a little different. What about you, Jake?
I have the same one as you, Josh.
Same ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about right. Well, guess we'll.
That's all I got, man. I gotta go to freaking work in the morning. It's late.
Yeah, it's been good chilling with you boys on a Sunday, but
Me and Folky gotta go to Hardee's in the morning. Get our coffee.
Exactly, we gotta go to Hardee's. I mean, tomorrow's gonna be a long day. I gotta take out the trash, stuff like that. Dad stuff.
And that'll
We're
be
out.
the end of the show.
See ya.